Welcome to what I'm now dubbing the first ever episode of Benbo Banter. Basically, it's just a way for me to do more commentary style videos without a script, and I can kind of just rant my way through a topic. So these are going to be separate from a review, but they're not going to be as well structured, a little bit more free flowing, just something you can put on in the background while you may be doing some work or playing some games. And I'm starting with a pretty tough subject today. I'm talking about Elden Ring. Now, Elden Ring's been out for, well, a minute. It's hardly even a conversation piece anymore. But for me, it's been a conversation piece for a while. See, over a year ago, I played Elden Ring on my humble little stream, and it was the first time I ever got affiliate, and I wanted to try and do some kind of interactive fun stream. So I made it that if you subbed, I'd spin a wheel of punishments revolving in real life and in the game, as well as I would spin it every time I reached 10 deaths. Mind you, this was the first time I've ever played Elden Ring, let alone a Souls-like game, and it's easy to say that it went horribly wrong. I ended up getting to the final boss, and I just couldn't beat it, so I rage quit and uninstalled, and I never wanted to play it ever again. Now, I feel like I need to be fair to Elden Ring, and that kind of experience, you wouldn't want to play any game ever again, but I specifically really disliked Elden Ring. I just thought it was a bad game masked by media hype, and that's kind of been my position for the very longest time. Until now, I returned to Elden Ring. One of my chatters spent 50,000 channel points to force me to play any game of their choosing, and they were like, hey, beat that final boss of Elden Ring. You never beat him. And I went, scheiße. All right, let's do it. And while I was doing it, I jokingly said, "Hey, if we get 50 subs right now, I'll play the whole game again." I'm assuming you can guess where that led. Yep, I ate my words, and I was due for a second playthrough. And the hard thing was, I had a very firm stance that I really disliked Elden Ring. I disliked a lot of things about it. I disliked that the difficulty wasn't balanced. It was an unfair game that didn't really encourage exploration. I felt that the builds were not as free flowing as they should have been, and you had to pick correct sets or you were screwed throughout the whole game. It was grindy as hell, and just some bosses were so inconsistent. I hear some people beating bosses in one go, and some people there for 10 years. I really disliked the game. But something changed. On my second playthrough, I started actually enjoying myself. So when I started playing again, I wanted the easiest route possible. And a lot of people were saying that Mage is a lot easier than some of the other classes just because you get to work with range and you don't have to get up so close and personal. So I went, all right, I'll play Mage. I was lucky enough that the guidance provided by my chatters this time around was a lot more encouraging. And it was, hey, try this. Hey, this could be really cool. No one forced me to do anything. And to be fair, no one could force me to do anything, but I was having this internal struggle that I was having fun, and that felt weird. However, I pride myself on being an open minded person, so I didn't want to shut that feeling away. I kind of embraced it, and it made me think really differently about the game. However, I still have some thoughts about the game, and let me just preface that this is not a review. This is more or less my personal experience with Elden Ring as a game. I think the game is too large, and there's too much to see that I have not seen. I could not formulate a proper opinion. And let's be real, this game is not for me. I am not the target audience of this game, but target audience is an interesting point that I will talk to. So, let's talk about my second playthrough. What was different this time around? Well, funnily enough, the first stream, the first 5 hours, I had progressed incredibly far. I had gotten up to Renala, and I realized that that part there, that kind of checkpoint in my last playthrough took me ages, and it was gut-wrenching, it was difficult, so I realized something. It's not even because I'm a better gamer. If anything, I probably got worse. I realized that with Elden Ring, knowledge is power. Knowing things about the game and how it works fuel your playthrough so much. And that might seem silly, but some games have an innate gameplay sense where mechanically you can just pick it up and go through the game. Yes, you'll always probably come back better the next time around. But Elden Ring, it was insane. My motor skills playing were not better. Like I said, they were likely worse. I had been playing a lot more relaxing games, not as much intense action games. But I found myself doing a lot better. Now, this was something I actually disliked pretty strongly. I found that I got frustrated with the fact that having more knowledge of the game was more favorable than having less, because I love the idea of jumping into a game and having no idea what's going on, having no guides and running through it. Now, at that point there, no guides and just gunning through it. I am a hypocrite to this statement. Through both of my playthroughs, I used guides. I did not care about the raw experience. And that's what I really wanted to hone in on, the raw experience. See, one of my good friends, Matt, who hopefully he's watching this because we talk about Elden Ring all the damn time. He absolutely loves Elden Ring. He thinks it's one of the greatest games. He had a great time playing it. He admits he's frustrated and maybe there's some parts that could work with some refinement, but overall he loves it. And I was the anti-stance of that. I hated it. I thought it was horrible. I thought it was lazy gameplay and development, and I thought the media kind of just dick rode this game into oblivion, and it wasn't that good. What he would constantly say to me is that when he played through this game, he did not use a guide. I was flabbergasted by this. I honestly didn't believe him, if I'm being honest with you, because I felt like with this game, there is so much stuff that in order to access, you need knowledge. I'm going to talk about Rani's quest line. It was one of the various stories you can follow. And I shouldn't even say quest lines because there's not necessarily quests in this game, more or less events and discoveries. This doesn't use a quest system. You don't talk to someone and then they say, new mission, here's your waypoint. It's very different in that sense. However, when you're doing this quest line, there's a certain way you can go. And in order to talk to a certain NPC and get a mission from them or get access to an item or a mission, you had to go and find a secret lair, go and talk to this person 2 times, refresh their log, respawn back in on the waypoint, talk to them again, and then you would get access to it. And then the secret walls, it was so convoluted and it just didn't feel clever. I was more shocked. I said, how could anybody in their right mind do a raw playthrough and find this? And then I realized that when the game was in playtest, it was actually data mined. So a lot of this information was publicly available. There was never these secrets that were scattered around. And I wonder if anything, if From Software is actually more disappointed by that fact. I feel like if that never had happened and it was never able to happen, I feel like there would still be mysterious secrets still being discovered in Elden Ring to this day. However, I realized something. Talking back to that raw experience, as someone who never played with a guide, I can't form a judgment on what that's like. That ability is taken away from me. I can now no longer go into Elden Ring and play with a complete blank mindset, which is a powerful thing to do because a lot of the games that I play, I do that. I jump in and I just enjoy it. Because a lot of the time you might read various media articles or reviews, and subconsciously you're going to align with some of the views they have. It just happens. When you hear someone make a point and maybe question some of your own stances, it is quite hard to inherently back your own opinion. Or maybe you'll back someone else's. Either way, I digress. I could never have this experience anymore, and that upset me. I realized that I kind of screwed my playthrough, which kind of made me upset. I realized I played the game the way I really didn't want to play it, the way I never preached to play. And I realized that probably was a big part of the reason I didn't enjoy the game. However, that aside, I need to talk about accessibility. Many a games, when you launch into them, will have various accessibility settings, such as the difficulty and etc., etc. That is there in place to cater to as many potential players as possible. Now, Elden Ring does not have this. There is no way to adjust the difficulty in the vanilla game. I'm sure there's various mods, but I'm not a big modder. I like playing the product that was given to me. I feel like this game needs accessibility settings. And I was thinking about it as well. Some true Elden Ring fans might say, well, Ben, this destroys the experience. The experience that is a punishing and gut-wrenching journey through Elden Ring. This is how it should be experienced. And I don't disagree with that statement. You're probably correct. However, for someone like me, a boomer bozo who really isn't that good at games as much as I enjoy them, I really wanted to indulge in the world and see the sights and see the story without feeling so punished for doing so. See, the more I play this game, I actually think the more I dislike it, which is insane because the more areas I go to and I feel like I've hit such a dead end and just get repeatedly pummeled by a boss, it just makes me feel like, man, I wish there was an easier way to play this game, an easier way to grind through the game. And kind of like how some games where you're like easy, normal, hard, just have it say like bitch made mode. You're still a pussy mode. This is the experience. I got nothing wrong with that. If the devs say, hey, this is the way we want you to experience the game, I understand. But I digress. So it's a bit interesting in that capacity where I just feel like this game wasn't made for the average gamer. But at the same time, I also think that's okay that it wasn't made for the average gamer. I'm rambling at this point. Nonetheless, I just kind of want to wrap up my experience by saying I feel like I'm in a position to not like nor dislike Elden Ring. I feel like I don't actually have an opinion about it. I feel like this game was not made for someone like me, and it's not in my position to destroy and tarnish, oh, little pun there, a reputation of a game like this. I feel like this targeted a very select group. Maybe how I feel when someone sees me playing Nintendo children games and they say, "What the hell are you doing? You're playing a kid's game." And I say, "Bugger off, let me have fun." Maybe I need to stay in my lane and agree with that stance. Everyone to their own. Not every game is for everyone. Hey, there's a million ice cream flavors out there. You're not going to like them all. It's an imperfect piece of art. There's many things I don't like about this game and many things I do like about this game. But at the end of the day, Elden Ring is just a game for me. And that's okay. All right. If you made it this far, I'm so sorry. This is my first time trying like a raw read through. I'm trying to like stick away from scripting some of these more commentary videos just with how AI is, and I could really just generate a script if I wanted to. I was trying to just free form a conversation as I go, which is the Benbo Banter experience. So, yes, I'm sorry that I probably said a whole lot of nothing, but I appreciate you listening to my ramble. Anyway, I'll see you next time.